And energy is one of the most important things to control narrative. And energy is the topic here. Even we're now fighting some wars where is energy in the middle of it. War between Ukraine and Russia. And we know that we are suffering hard because of it. They are telling us that because of it. But let's roll next clip.
If you cannot set a credible course for net zero, with 2025 and 2030 targets covering all your operations, you should not be in business.
Well, net zero is insanity. It's pure insanity. I mean, the idea that you can remove 85% of the world's energy, which comes from hydrocarbons, within less than 30 years and replace it with the sunbeams and the breezes, it shows a complete lack of economics, societal effect. It shows a simple lack of the progress that we made over 300 years.
Well, energy is very important, and you're telling that you have a crisis there because of renewable energy, because of wind turbines. But for sure, wind turbines, are they really renewable energy, or there's something else behind? Mark?
Well, I know that they're ruining the landscape in the UK. I mean, areas of Scotland, Wales, beautiful part of Cornwall. They've now got wind turbines everywhere, and also lots of our coastline have got huge wind turbines, but they're not particularly efficient. They don't work. Obviously, the wind doesn't blow all of the time, but when it does blow, strangely enough, it creates too much electricity, and the existing infrastructure. The infrastructure cannot cope with all the extra power, and it's actually costing money to deal with that, and they had to shut various grids down. But of course, the damage it's done to the environment isn't really mentioned in the campaign. I mean, whether it's at sea where it's life, or whether it's on land where it's killing all kinds of birds and other creatures, it's counterproductive. And of course, we've also got solar panels, and they're hugely inefficient because they only work when the sun shines, which isn't this summer apart. It's not that often in the UK. It's a political move. None of the economics add up. I mean, what they say it's going to cost is a fraction of the real cost. I mean, even last week, an independent body in the UK said it's going to cost something like 800 billion to reach net zero. But I mean, our estimates go far beyond that. I mean, we think it'll run into trillions, because what will happen, I think, and I think one of our experts in the film says, is that there won't be enough energy to go round. So they will have the power to shut it off at certain times, and we won't have any electricity. They're already working on, you can have a smart meter now where if you work it at the weekend, you get cheaper electricity. Well, that technology can also shut you off. And ironically, of course, this comes at a time when we're using masses more electricity for electric cars, for one, but mainly for surveillance, which is now all over our country, and these huge data centers, which are drawing massive amounts of power at a time when production is going down. It's all very false.
Phil, is it possible to replace with the renewable energy? We are now talking about artificial intelligence, and they're implementing, and that takes lots of energy, and they still cannot replace it with new energy. And is that have any sense?
To in our film, and in fact, there's a document that we refer to by a government-sponsored body called the UK Fires Association. They published a document called Absolute Zero, in which they acknowledge that net zero targets are untenable, and therefore we'll have to quarter our electricity consumption in the UK. So 75% reduction by 2050 in order to have any hope. So it's, how much of the country is on board with that? I mean, what this stuff necessitates ultimately, and what it's really about, as Mark was saying, it necessitates the smart grid, right? In order to take account for all of this sort of intermittent energy production, a smart grid, which goes back to the days of the original technocracy movement in the 1930s, where they needed to be able to account for every unit of energy and every means of food, every item, every means of production needs to be accounted for. And that's, that vision seems to have been sort of brought back to life and resurrected by people like the Trilateral Commission, and is being sort of integrated into the plan. We're seeing technocracy, I would argue, being rolled out on a global scale, where that's what the surveillance is about. Nothing comes in or out of the closed system without them knowing about it.